Hello, my name is Shari, Lynn. I am deaf and I've been working on bodybuilding for about 7 years, which included bikini and physique. I'm here to talk about how to overcome suicide. I'll start with my own personal experience about suicide. Interpreter would like to rephrase. Oops. How to overcome suicide. My suicidal ideation started when I was about 14 or 17 years old. I felt worthless. I felt like a failure. I got bullied, and people would put me down a lot. That was a really hard time in my life that I'll never be able to forget. And I wanted to improve. So this is how I overcame those thoughts for myself. I was done hurting myself. So I needed to. Interpreter needs clarification. I knew I wanted to overcome the thought of being a failure and hurting myself. I had to admit that these thoughts weren't good for me. I had to convince myself that I'm okay even during suicidal ideations, which was not easy. I will tell you how I overcame suicide. So one day I went into my son's old room after he graduated high school and moved out. He left all of his weights there, and his dumbbell and bench. So I walked to his room and I sit down and I just proceed to sob. It had been years that I felt like my life was a waste. Depression, sickness. I just felt like I completely wasted my life and that I was a failure. So as I continued to cry, I had these suicidal ideations pop up in my head. But there was something that stopped me, and it was this dumbbell. It was right in front of me, an iron dumbbell. This is not easy for me to talk about. So I see the iron dumbbell. And I decided to grab it, turn it over in my wrist. I'm like, So I start doing curls. I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay, I've seen my kids do this before. It kind of made a light bulb go off in my head. So I continued to do the curls. And I'm like, so I decided to buy a bunch of more workout equipment, which I really enjoyed. I asked my friend, I'm like, how can I improve with this? And she's like, well, you should go find a gym, maybe get a personal trainer. So as I'm on the hunt for a gym, I found one by the name of Foster Gym. And I thought that would be a good option. When I go to the gym, I meet a short woman from Cuba. I let her know that I was deaf and I brought an interpreter with me. I remembered that I paid to bring an interpreter so that I was able to talk about what I wanted to achieve. And the lady asked me, do you know about this competition coming up? And I said, no. So she explained the competition to me. And she's like, if you start training now, you'll be ready by the competition date. And I was like, me? She's like, yeah, you have the body for it. And that just felt really good because for years, no one complimented me. No one said I could do things or that I was worthy of something. I just had constant negative thoughts about myself. So to have this woman tell me, you have the body for it, just really boosted my self-esteem. Because at that time, I felt like I looked terrible, but I went ahead with it anyway. I started the routine, working out, eating well. And at the competition, I got 7th place, which was all right. But then I decided to do another competition, and for that one, I got 4th place, which I felt a lot better about. And then I realized that all of my suicidal ideations and negative thoughts about myself were gone. It was an amazing feeling to realize that I no longer had these thoughts. Basically, the iron saved my life and gave me hope. So I continued to work out. I became addicted to it. Working out was basically my therapy. I found this door where I could finally just bask in the light again. And since then, it's been 7 years where I've gradually improved. That is how I have overcome my suicidal ideations and feelings of failure. And I will admit that I have times where I don't feel like I'm looking good enough or feeling good enough, but then I just continue to work out and I feel better. Diet really affects your mental health. Before, I had a really bad diet, just years of eating poorly. And I'm done with punishing myself and wasting my time doing things that aren't good for me. I want to learn to do better. Now going forward, I'm like, I want to help the community who also struggle with suicide or depression. I want to provide some kind of encouragement of how you can overcome it. Yes, I decided to overcome my suicidal ideation. I love you.